the last decade, the public has been stigmatized by serious scandals, corruption acts, and equally terrible omissions that have had a negative impact to the economy and to the reliability of our country internationally. Foreign leaders, international organizations, foreign media are particularly critical about the golden passports scandal. No doubt about that. And one can only ask, what check and balances were there to enable our institutions to prevent the wrong decisions, to prevent misuse of power and abuse of office for personal gain? And if prevention failed, what checks and balances are there to sanction such practices and try to prevent their repetition? Only a stronger set of checks and balances can achieve this aim. And in advocating for a set of stronger checks and balances in our institutional architecture, we cannot ignore the role of the Attorney General. I want to clarify that my aim is not to undermine the Attorney General or his deputy on a personal level, but as a matter of principle, the functioning of our institutions cannot depend on the ethics of the persons heading the institutions. Institutional safeguards must be provided, and parliamentary oversight of decisions taken must be provided as well. In any case, the fact remains that both the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General held ministerial posts in the previous government, approving the issuing of golden passports before assuming their roles at the legal service. The legal service is meant to act independently from the executive, at least in a system where checks and balances actually work. What we witness is an obvious conflict of interest. If someone argues, anyone, and I'm looking at you, that this is not an obvious conflict of interest, then I honestly do not know what a conflict of interest is. This highlights the significance of the appointment procedure. This highlights the significance of the appointment procedure of the Attorney General. It must be guaranteed that this person, whose role is fundamental to the distribution of justice, will be able to exercise his mandate autonomously with impartiality, staying away from any political or other considerations. The process of direct appointment by the President of the Republic, as provided in our Constitution, an appointment excluding the involvement of the Parliament, can lead the justice system down a very dangerous path. We can all recall the decision of the ex-President of the Republic to appoint another political figure as Deputy Attorney General. And may I remind you all that he ended up in jail. It is also true that the Constitution of the Republic of Cyprus, which was reflecting a different period, does not foresee any scrutiny whatsoever on the decisions of the Attorney General. No justification for his decisions on opening or closing investigations is needed. This is another major loophole. And in an environment of prevailing distrust towards the legal system, this loophole is bound to cast doubt on the motives of each decision taken, irrespective of its legal correctness, and undermines even further his decisions. Another important issue relating to the checks and balances that underpin the rule of law is currently being discussed. I and 6 other colleagues have tabled a private bill requiring that ministers are obliged to come to the House of Representatives when so requested by the Parliament, and that they have to provide for the Parliament documents they are asked to submit. The necessity for this private bill emerged when in December 2020, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Nikos Nouris, during an Expenditure Control Committee session, presented a legal opinion by the Attorney General, Mr. Savvidis, according to which he could completely ignore the Parliament and he did not have to present any documents in regard to the golden passports. The axiom that they don't have to submit documents or be present due to a strong separation of powers cannot support the transparency that the society demands today. In an era where integrity is a must, this cannot apply as an argument. The tendency nowadays is to be open to scrutiny and transparency. The Attorney General, yesterday at the Parliament, defended his position, making references to the legal opinion of the Attorney General, Kristonas Tornaridis, which was issued in the 1970s. My God. Kristonas Tornaridis also pointed out that the parliaments during plenary sessions should also avoid, the parliamentarians, sorry, not the parliaments, during plenary sessions should also avoid by any means the slightest innuendos of criticism or scrutiny against the executive. But that was then. Can this apply nowadays, with people demanding more and more transparency, when people questioning the institutions? Potentially, this legal opinion diminishes the role of our Parliament. How do we perceive the role of a Parliament? As a rubber stamp institution? We must keep striving to make Cyprus a place where justice, the rule of law, and transparency prevail. A country where the powers of each institution are checked and balanced. We are committed to keep reforming. I've sent a letter yesterday to the President of the Parliament asking her to guard the credibility of the Parliament. He should ask for other legal opinions. He should ask how we proceed in order to fight and get this private bill through. It cannot be on the discretion of the ministers when and if they appear in front of the Parliament. Otherwise, we shouldn't get the money we get every month. That means we have nothing to do there. Talking about reforming, another issue for discussion is the self-regulation of the judiciary. I will just focus on one aspect as an example, the declaration of assets of the members of the judiciary. In an open panel discussion I participated to in Washington, D.C., hosted by the World Bank, a British former judge of the Appeal Court of England and Wales, Sir Anthony Hooper, underlined that it is a misinterpretation of the Constitution to consider that the independence of the judiciary can be compromised by the requirement to submit asset declarations. And in this regard, self-regulation by the judges themselves falls rather short as a solution. Actually, he was quite adamant on it, and I raised up the question concerning the way we do things in Cyprus. I will not hesitate to say that political parties must also be further regulated to promote the rule of law. Otherwise, they lose their function as cells of democracy and become cells of cancer, cells of corruption. Dear colleagues, fact is that citizens express extreme distrust towards the political system. And as parliamentarians, we are validating their concerns and try to act upon them. In the relevant standing committee, of which I'm a member, we have initiated a wide discussion, along with another colleague, Mr. Dimitris Dimitriou, he's sitting over there, which involves also the academic community and other stakeholders to see how we can provide solutions that will restore trust to democratic institutions. The Constitution of the Republic of Cyprus is the cornerstone of our laws, of the existence of the Republic of Cyprus itself. But the world is progressing, and the Constitution must adapt as well to underpin progress. I am convinced that a way to change our Constitution can be found, excluding, of course, the fundamental articles. It is the political will that we lack. I reckon there are particularities in our Constitution that reflect our historical particularities. I reckon that many provisions are now interpreted based on the law of necessity. The aim of a possible change of the Constitution is not to meddle with existing checks and balances, but to establish some more. Transparency standards have changed. The bar is now set higher, and we cannot continue to fall behind. Transparency has become a litmus test for citizens. We must take advantage of the piling public dissatisfaction to harness support from our citizens to promote the reforms that need to be made. And reforms need to be made across the board. We now see that powerful political figures step aside abroad. In some cases, they are being prosecuted. Power people, prime ministers, senators, and our citizens demand the same level of political integrity here in Cyprus. Cyprus has suffered many wounds in its long history, and corruption needs not to be another one. Thank you.